Hi friends, I am out here by this, um, well, I guess it's a strait. It's like a little, I don't know, kind of bay connected to a strait, which eventually connects to the Pacific Ocean. Um, but I come out here sometimes when I can manage it, and I just wanted to share some of my thoughts about how it even starts, or at least started for me, this sense of not being safe within myself. And, I'm not expecting myself right now to remember all the little memories, all the little details, but I do think I have a hold, a memory of the general process that has happened that has been a contributing factor for me. So I feel like when we are young or when we are in compromised positions where people have power over us, and this power might be, structural or institutional or carceral, like they have some kind of legal right to um, force us to have medication or force us to be imprisoned or force us to have punishments, or or if somebody has another form of power over us, like they are our parents or a relative or an employer, where we're trying to participate in community and shared activities with them, but they use shame and you know if terror and harshness in order to try to change our behavior or in order to try to get some kind of outcome that they want for themselves. When we experience these things, just through circumstances through our entire lives, where there are people with power over us, and when we are peaceful people and we don't want, maybe it started by we couldn't, but it evolved into we don't want to use harshness and violence in order to protect ourselves, especially if it is like, because we probably are really skilled at seeing the good things and also feeling love and attachment and empathy for other people, or for the positive function the organizations serve, or for the positive potential, for whatever reason we don't use violence in return, or we don't want to use violence in return. We can be in, it can put us in a situation, or at least in my experience, where it then becomes like when basically just always assuming in order to my role, in order to be a good person or to play the safe role, is to anticipate other people harming me and lessen their harm by always assuming blame, always assuming like, oh, I already punished myself, I already harmed myself, I already hate myself, you don't need to do anything to me, I'm easy to control, that kind of thing. These survival adaptations that we take. And I don't take any shame on myself for me having adapted in these ways, because I think that it's beautiful under the pressures and the situations that I've been in, but I've been doing it for my sake and also for other people's sake. And unfortunately, I'm just not a person who is meant for warring environments. I get panic attacks, I get my nervous system and mentality and all that is just not made to. I applaud the people who that does work for them. We all have different roles to play. For people who can be warlike in return, I think that has an important role to play too. But, that's not me. My adaptation has always. Yeah, but anyway, so I think that at first, we start to learn, like, and especially see this in religion, for example, being like, oh, this almighty powerful God who, he's going to send you to hell and punish you and horrible things, but it's your fault because you didn't do it and you made him abuse you, this kind of view of religion. And like, I don't really know about many religions, but I did grow up in a Christian environment, and that, was something big, a part of that religion. And that kind of narrative. It's an abusive relationship with this God figure that is about using coercive control to force you to comply with whatever behavior people tell you to do, because they're using the idea of a punishing all-powerful God in order to terrorize you so that they don't take the blame. They're like, oh, I'm just passing on what God told me. I'm trying to protect you. But, they're really maintaining these coercive, abusive power structures and methods of communication, like just methods of attempting to relate to one another and figure out goals and desires and work towards. My video cut off. I don't know how long it was, but these desires of teamwork and attempting to identify and solve problems and participate, work together, collaborate, negotiate boundaries and the correct roles for people, and so these coercive power models, I guess it has been like a necessary evil through a lot of history, unfortunately, but I really, like, I don't stand for that. I want to be a part of helping to let the new power models, the new relational models, the new communication models, the new, like, creative models come into the world. Like, that's the role that's right for me to play. Like, helping, create the future by forming and experimenting with this replacement social structure. And so anyway, besides all that, I think that we start, or at least I started to think like, okay, I have to assume that there's going to be a harsh punishment. I was physically abused as a kid, I was verbally abused, and this carries on through lots of social environments that we're in, and workplace managerial dynamics and abusive relationships. And it can kind of just really get into us, this idea of, okay, in order for me to be safe, I have to preemptively hate and harm myself, punish myself so other people don't, so other people go easy on me, so people don't attack me. But unfortunately, that doesn't work. That maybe sometimes it does, but a lot of times it does. It's more like an emergency survival, like in the moment kind of thing, not like a way of life. Because if you're doing that to yourself constantly, then you end up believing it over time. You end up just really taking it into yourself and believing that you really should hate yourself and that you really are trash, and that, it doesn't become just something you perform to stay safe with people who will only be kind to you or give you access to the resources that you need if you hate and harm yourself. It becomes like, oh, like, this is just what I am on an existential level. And there's more I could say about it, but I feel a little bit, tired just in speaking this part of it, so I'll leave it here. And I hope that I didn't get cut off too much earlier when, I don't know why my phone is glitchy sometimes, but the video went off and I had to restart again. So I don't know what point that happened, but Yeah, these power dynamics, I think it's really down to collaborative dynamics, in power that has to do with like who gets to make decisions within a creative process when you're working with multiple people. And we have all these rules and rituals and mythology around who deserves to make decisions and in what context the rules are applied. And I'm really interested in breaking this down more and learning how to purge from my mind the violent communication narratives, um, and to see what, as much as possible, I'm not expecting things to be ideal because I do live in a fucked up time of history, and I was kind of born and shaped by this world, so I can't fully become the ideal of who I hope I would be. I have been shaped by the world I was born into, but as much as possible, I want to make my life be about um, nonviolent communication. And I think that it's really important to start within, the way that I automatically regard myself, that I talk to myself, and just noticing, when I walk around here, when I am like outside on walks and I have agoraphobia, just noticing like how much in my mind it comes up, these self-harming automatic narratives, and why that's a big part of why I'm so afraid to be outside, because when I just like am walking, I start feeling so tense and feeling like I have to totally portray myself. It just overwhelms me, feeling like I have to just totally portray myself like I am weak, I hate myself, I am trash, and assume that everybody is thinking that about me and wants me to harm myself. It's a weird thing to be a human animal. We are still animals. We're very reflective, very imaginative, but we are still animals. And it's interesting for me to observe like these automatic parts that are alive in me, while also having the other part of me that is understanding what's happening and is also trying to figure out how to use compassion in order to compassion and nonviolent communication in order to have creative license over my process, and try to give me access to different resources, try to just expand the mindset that I use to relate to myself and the world. Anyway, if you relate to this, I would love to hear your thoughts, and if you made some kind of art or a video or a Substack post or anything that's kind of on this topic, or just like on related topics, kind of related to um, say self-acceptance, self-love, like I'd love to hear about it.